This is the new Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Can you guess why it's a little bit like the Milan Cathedral? Yeah, you don't know, do you? It's because they've both recently been renovated, though they've been renovated in a way that is sympathetic to their original designs. Now I'm going to talk you through all the renovations that Alfa has made to this car. Some of them have improved it. They've also failed to improve some of the things that was wrong with the old version, and I'll tell you about those as well. Also, I'm going to take it for a drive, give it a bit of a hooning, and launch it to see how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour. And if I'm brave, I'll also test it over the standing quarter mile, because this is Car Wow, and I'm Matt Watson, and that's how I roll. Let's start this video by talking about the price. So the Stelvio Quadrifoglio starts from £74,000. It's quite expensive, though. You can save an average of just over £12,000 off one through Car Wow. So then, when you consider the performance, it's not bad value actually. I'm going to talk you through the design changes that Alfa has made to this car, and this is going to be very quick. Smoke tail lights and a Akrapovic exhaust. Now it's optional, and you can get it with carbon fibre surrounds. Then we move down the side. You can get some new alloy wheels. These are the standard 20s which you could get before, but there's some new ones. At the front, you can get some brake calipers in different colours rather than the red ones here. Then at the front, the only change is this. Got this black surround for the V in the grille. And that is your lot. I guess they didn't really need to change it much because it's always been a good looking car. And it does stand out over the normal Stelvio with the more aggressive front bumper with all these kind of fins and stuff like that. And then at the back, you've got deeper rear bumpers and it sits low to the ground. There is, of course, Quadrifoglio badging, which stands for cloverleaf. You've got these gills there in the bonnet. Oh, I've got to say, I do really like this paint. This pearlescent paint just glistens in the sunshine. It's just a shame we didn't clean it. Why didn't we clean it, Jack?
Just couldn't find any water.
That's a crap excuse. I'm going to talk you through all the chassis upgrades that this Quadrifoglio version of the Stelvio has over the standard car. Most notably, you get some high performance sports brakes. So you've got 360mm discs up front gripped by 6 piston calipers, and at the back you've got 350mm discs gripped by 4 piston calipers. Shall we check them out? Let's check them out. Let's see what the braking performance is like on this car. Let's see how well this car brakes. So I'm going to do a full emergency stop from 70 miles an hour, measure the distance. Here we go, here's the line, here we go, here we go, here we go. Foot through the floor. Using my old specialist timing gear, have to bear with me. Use this GoPro to show you. So it stopped in 42.7 metres, and that is very good. The Stelvio Quadrifoglio comes with adaptive dampers as standard, which is handy because then if you want to drive in race or dynamic and you're on a bumpy road, you press that and it slackens them off a little bit, which is handy because this car does have quite stiff suspension because it's uprated over the standard car, and you've also got beefier anti-roll bars to stop it rolling and leaning in the bends. Being an SUV, the Stelvio Quadrifoglio is four-wheel drive, but it's an Italian four-wheel drive system, which means most of the time the front wheels can't be bothered working. The rears are doing all the effort, you know. But when there's a bit of slip at the back, the car can send power to the front, you know. It's like, Mamma mia! We need to get out of this corner. Terrible accent, sorry. Anyway, another thing this car has is a rear limited slip differential, and it's electronically controlled, so it can send power to the rear wheel with the most traction to help catapult you out of bends. This is the reason to buy this car. If you want an SUV with an awesome engine, 2.9 litre twin turbo V6, 90-degree V6 to be precise, puts out 510 horsepower, 600 newton meters of torque, and it's got an 8-speed automatic gearbox, unfortunately not with launch control, but still, it's got a top speed, this car, of 176 miles an hour, and 0 to 60, I can't remember, what is it? 3.8. 3.8 seconds, but is that right? Can it really do it in 3.8 seconds? There's only one way to find out. We're gonna have to launch it. But you're gonna have to hold on for the rest of the video because I'm gonna launch it towards the end. Don't you get skipping, I'm watching you. Here on the inside, the Quadrifoglio version of the Stelvio gets a lovely sports steering wheel with the starter button on it as well. You get carbon fibre about the place, there's red stitching, you've got sporty seats, you've got big aluminium pedals. It's nice. Now the updates that they've made is to change the layout of the pod here on the centre console. There was a bit too much plastic going on before. They've made it more carbon fibre-y. Also, you now get more leather here on the gear selector. There's also Quadrifoglio badges on the steering wheel, on the dials and on the kick plates. Biggest change though is this, they've updated the infotainment system. It is better than before, and now it's a touchscreen, as well as being able to be controlled by this rotary dial. It's also now got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. They've also changed some of the menus and the operating system to make it slicker, but it still doesn't feel as good to use as the systems you get in, say, a BMW X4M. Oh, one of the things the BMW doesn't have that this has is wonderful, massive aluminium gear selectors. These are lovely. They are mounted on the steering column so that when you turn the wheel, you still know exactly where they are if you need to pull another gear. Here in the back, the sporty theme continues with carbon fibre, the red stitching, the sporty seats with Alcantara, which grip your bum so that when your dad's driving like a moron, you don't go flying around all over the place. And of course, you've got the same red seat belts, which look epic. Other than that, it's just like a normal Stelvio. So, okay knee room for an SUV. Decent headroom though, and all round, fairly reasonable. Final area of practicality, the boot. Now it's smaller than its key competitors, still it's large enough for most people, 525 litres. And this one appears to be filled with all of Jack's crap. Jack, what's with you? You haven't cleaned the car and it's just full of junk. What's going on?
Demonstrating the capacity.
He's got an answer for everything, hasn't he? Now I've got an answer for this car's small boot. If you want something high performance SUV from Italy, Maserati Levante Trofeo. If you want to watch that video, I'll put a link, it's popping out up there, go watch it. It's insane. Actually, you should see how quick that car can go from 0 to 60. I don't know what I'm going on about now, I'm losing the plot. And that brings on to 5 annoying things about this car. If you want to experience the full fruitiness of this car's epic exhaust noise, you have to have it in race mode, otherwise you won't get the full effect. And that's particularly annoying because in race mode, the car automatically turns off its traction control. Maybe I just want to listen to the exhaust without putting my life at risk. I mean, how Italian is that? Che cazzo? The high performance brakes are a little bit grabby, so when you're trying to manoeuvre at low speed, you end up kind of like jerking along the road. Yeah, if you're American, you're probably laughing at that as an innuendo. Didn't mean it, I'm British. Another thing that you find is this. The rear parking brake makes a weird noise like this. A slightly distressed penguin. You don't expect an Italian high-performance V6 to be particularly economical, and indeed this car isn't. It's averaging 18.7 miles per gallon, and when you combine that with the fact that the fuel capacity of the tank is 64 litres, you end up with a real-world range of 252 miles. Unlike all this car's high-performance competitors, there is no launch control, even when you're in race mode. Look, race mode, left foot on the brake, foot on the throttle, and it starts climbing through its brakes and trying to head off up the road. Why didn't they give it launch control? One of the things I used to like to do with old Alfa high-performance V6s was open the bonnet and just gawp at their beautiful engines. This one though, it's got this horrible plastic cover, and underneath it, I'm sure I'm going to find lots of polished chrome and loveliness. And I've just chafed my knuckles. Come on, one last one. Oh, 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 that hurt. It's got to be worth it. I hope it's worth it. How do I even get it out of there? Is that it? It's like when Darth Vader took off his mask. It's ugly. It's not all negative though. Here's 5 good things about this car. The Stelvio uses quite a lot of aluminium in its construction, so it keeps the weight down of various body panels. As a result, this car tips the scales at 1,830 kilos, which is actually quite light for an SUV. A BMW X3M weighs in at over 200 kilos more. Big, fat, stupid German. Yeah. The prop shaft that sends the power from the engine to the rear wheels is made out of carbon fibre, so it's light, less inertia, means it's more responsive when you put your foot down. I'm trying to find it, can't see it. I'd like to see it. According to the Alfa Romeo press office, this car's engine has been derived from a Ferrari V8, only with 2 of the cylinders lopped off, though that could just be spin. Anyway, you can still tell it to your friends to impress them if you're that kind of person. Look at this, you've got double wishbone suspension. That keeps the tyre contact patch with the ground consistent even when you're turning. This is the stuff of racing cars. This Stelvio Quadrifoglio just sounds way better than its competitors. Have a listen to this. Oh yeah, there's no soft limiters here. Right, let's see what this Alfa Stelvio is like to drive. Got it in race mode, which means stability's off. I want to hear the noise of the fantastic V6. Oh, it's just so good for an SUV. This car just grips and really handles so well. And it's got such a rear drive bias to it. What a car, what an engine. The gearbox may be a little bit slow, it's not as bam 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 as a dual clutcher, but it's good enough. The brakes are good on this car. I've actually had this thing on track, and I was at a track day, Bedford Autodrome, and people were like, what's he doing in his SUV? And I was actually passing loads of people in sportier cars because it does handle that well. As SUVs go, I think this is the sportiest to drive. You do feel like you're in a sports car that's raised up. The engine's glorious. The chassis, the way it just holds the car upright without it rolling over, which is a big problem with sporty SUVs. It does a good job of that, but there is a price to pay when you back off and you go into normal mode. You do notice on certain surfaces that suspension is quite firm, so the car can feel a bit unsettled as you're just driving around, and that can get on your nerves a little bit. Something like a Porsche Macan, when you've got the adaptive dampers on it, is easier to live with and a bit more comfortable. This is a special car. It really is. And you know, then you go into race mode again and you're like, right, I want to have some fun. And it's to just drive like a complete idiot in it. And the main reason why I bought it is the engine. The engine is glorious. So let's finally check out the performance, because it is special. Now I'm going to launch the car, see how quick it is from 0 to 60 and over the standing quarter mile. Check this out. I have my old specialist timing gear here. It's very old. So with this car there's no launch control system, you just brake boost it. It's that simple, but it likes to push through its brakes, so you've got to balance it just right. Let's do it. So I've got it in sports mode. No, see, it's trying to drive through. There we go. Brake boost it. Here we go. It said for best experience have it in manual, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do that again. Best experience when launching is to just let it do it in drive, because it rips through that first gear. Right, so I'm going to brake boost it, and it likes to try and drive through its brakes, so got to get it just right. That's a good one. Come on. It's quick, you know, this thing. Oh, come on, here comes the quarter mile. Oh, let's see what it did. I'm excited to see what it did. Oh, brakes are good. I'll show you on this GoPro. 12.1 seconds. Now I know I can do better than that. Let's try it again. It's all about the brake boosting. Come on now. Let's do better. What are we going to get this time? Oh yes! Quarter mile! 11.9 seconds. Can you see that there? It's really tough with this old specialist timing gear. Not so special now, are you? 0 to 60, 3.6 seconds. I'll take that. It's good, isn't it, for an SUV? So then, what's my final verdict on the Alfa Stelvio Quadrifoglio? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, if you want a fun to drive, high performance SUV with plenty of style and passion, you should go right ahead and buy this.